So Vital and I are going to collaborate on what we call Project Magu. And Magu is the name of the village that he's from originally. And what we're going to do is we're going to leverage online education to provide scholarships and full access to all business and personal development courses to 100 students in his hometown. And Vital's story is so inspiring. He inspires me so much. Do you want to share your story?
So the story is how I grew up in that village called Magu. So it's a village with no access to electricity, no access to internet, no access to infrastructure. And I got a chance to go to study primary, secondary, and university. And so many kids in my age mate, they didn't get a chance to get that education. And so when we met Chris, because he's so much passionate about education, and so I was sharing with this my story with him, and he asked me one question like, if you would be given time, what would you do? What are you passionate about? So I shared that my passion is to give back to that village specifically, because I know that they don't have access to that high quality education. And so that's how the idea came, like, okay, giving back to that village through education. And so that's the background. And so I grew up in that village and went to university and made it to university, to master's degree in Germany. And I have just a heart to give back to that.
Together, we believe that every problem in the world can be solved with a combination of education and technology. And we're going to make it happen together. And we're going to create a blueprint, a business plan, so to speak, based on Project Magu, so that anybody in the world can apply what we've learned to provide online education to every student in the world.
Even in those villages like mine.
Welcome to our 143rd weekly webcast. Please note, there's going to be no weekly webcast next week. The next meeting after next week, meaning the next time we do a call, will be July 15th at 8 a.m., where we're going to be broadcasting live from Rwanda. And so I'm going to be there with one of my MBA student graduates, a guy who graduated last year from my program named Vital. And what we're going to do is we're going to build the first of many schools. Then in 2022, we're going to build a school in Kenya with one of my other MBA students named Marin. And then in 2023, we're going to build a school in Nigeria with one of my other MBA students named Kemi. A lot of the profits that I make from this program and my other companies goes to build schools in Rwanda and other countries. Also, before we get started, we had a wonderful live webcast yesterday. It was called The New Blueprint for Achieving Career Success in 2021. And if you want to watch a replay of this event, you can go to my YouTube channel. And I also have a 50% off sale that I announced yesterday on my MBA program, and that expires on July 4th. And so you can purchase the MBA program for only $499 as a one-time payment, or 3 payments of $199. And as with all my courses and programs, there is a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And the webcast yesterday explains the MBA program in much more detail. Now, to buy the program for $500, please go to haroonmba.com. Again, this offer expires for the $500 coupon on July the 4th. Okay, let's move on. Now, over the past 143 weekly YouTube webcasts, And during the mini office hours and MBA Q&A sessions, I've actually answered more than 10,000 questions live on YouTube. It's been a blast, and I thought it'd be awesome if you could type your questions and I could immediately answer them for you based on my 10,000 questions answered. And so what I want to do quickly here is I want to introduce you to a product of mine called Powersearch. The way that Powersearch works is at the top of every single web page of mine and all of my course pages as well. If you're in my MBA program and other courses, you can type any question you have. So say you want to learn about a balance sheet. What does that mean? So you click there, and here's all the vlogs I've talked about the balance sheet over the years. And in my MBA program, here's where I talk about the balance sheet as well. So you can click if you've signed up and get immediate access to how a balance sheet works. And there's a gazillion other topics you can do a search for as well. So let me just move on to the slides here. Give me 1 second. It's a late night for me last night, guys. Sorry. 2 webcasts, 2 days in a row. But I feel good. I feel good. All right, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to profile 6 business icons and what we can learn from them. And these 6 business icons are as follows. We've got Warren Buffett, Kylie Jenner, who's the youngest self-made billionaire ever. She's 23 now. She made $1 billion when she was 21. We'll also talk about business lessons from Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and Beyonce and Jay-Z. Then after the 6th profile, I'm very, very excited to announce that I'm going to be interviewing a Haroon MBA a graduate named Julian Popov and his son Martin about the company they founded called grizzyware.com. And so you can go to their website at GRIZZY-ware.com. And I'll show you their website later on. Okay, let's get started now. Give me 1 second. All right. Oh, here it is here. So I got a graphic here. Hardly any sleep last night. Stick with me. I feel great, even though I sound tired. Thanks. Why has Warren Buffett been so successful for so many decades? Well, number one, he's a contrarian, and he's greedy when others are fearful, and he's fearful when others are greedy. And he actually once said that the New York Stock Exchange is the only store where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. He's also extremely unemotional, which we should all be as well when it comes to investing. And the way to be unemotional about investing is to write a 1-page investment document that explains why you want to buy the stock. And then after you buy the stock, if say in a year or so from now and you want to panic sell it, then what I want you to do is first go back to that 1-pager and review it and ask yourself this simple question. Okay, the stock is down X% for reason X. Had I known about reason X, the reason making the stock go down a year ago when I wrote this 1-page thesis, would I still have bought the stock? And if the answer is no, then sell it. If the answer is yes, then you can buy more. Pardon me. Excuse me. If the answer is yes, you can buy more up until a maximum position size of 5% of your portfolio. And I teach a lot about detailed investment write-ups and portfolio management in my MBA degree program, which you can learn more about at haroonventures.com. The second reason why Warren Buffett has been incredibly successful will surprise you. It's because he conquered his fear of public speaking by taking the Dale Carnegie public speaking course, which I actually did as well, and it's awesome. And you actually never watch an interview with Warren Buffett and walk away confused. He knows how to present. And in my MBA degree program, I arm you with many skills or arrows in your quiver or tools in your toolbox. I arm you with many skills on how to communicate in business in order to take your career to the next level. Now, if you don't want to purchase the Dale Carnegie training course, you can always practice public speaking for free. And let me show you how you can do it. So there's this company called meetup.com. So you go to meetup.com here. And what you can do is you search for the word Toastmasters. It's a group of people that practice speeches, and your location. So we'll go Toastmasters, and we'll go Toronto, where I'm from. You can tell when someone's not from Toronto, they say Toronto. And so here are the events. So you can attend in person, or you can do these things online if you want to. It's free to attend these things as well. Repetition is the mother of all skill, as Tony Robbins says. So let me get back on track here. Sorry, guys. 1 second. And by the way, I'm going to go completely off script here. So I was up late last night doing just preparing for this call. I had another webcast yesterday. A couple things you can do if you sound tired. There's something called Throat 37, which a lot of opera singers use, and Bono uses as well. A lot of musicians, and you spray it, and it makes you sound less tired. All right. Hopefully, I sound less tired. Another thing I do is I have this product here called Vocal Zone, and they're little tablets. They're not bad for you, and there's a little bit of sugar in it, but it helps with your voice. So hopefully, I sound more awake now. Okay. The third reason why Warren Buffett has been successful for many years is because he has the mentality of spending money after saving. Most people actually save money after spending. And he's actually so cost conscious that he still lives in the modest house that he bought many, many decades ago. And times are tough now, but when the world gets past this awful COVID crisis, if we can, we should try to have more money automatically taken out of our paychecks before we get them, and have that money saved tax-free in your retirement account. And most countries allow you to do this. In the United States, it's called a 401k. In Canada, it's called an RRSP. And if you're not sure how it works in your country, simply search Google or Bing if you work at Microsoft. Simply search Google for what is the 401 equivalent in, and then mention your country name. And if this was helpful, please like and subscribe. Thanks. Why is 23-year-old Kylie Jenner from the TV show Keeping Up with the Kardashians a billionaire? Well, she's actually the youngest self-made billionaire in history. She's 23 now. She made her first billion when she was 21, which is earlier than even Mark Zuckerberg when Facebook went public. Now, although Kylie Jenner is very fortunate to be born into the right family, she's actually leveraged social media a lot. And I humbly believe that YouTube is the only gold rush in history where it costs you nothing to make the product. All you need is this thing, and YouTube is the only gold rush also in history where you can get access to billions of customers for free. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to all look back on social media platforms like YouTube in a decade or so and say, gosh, I wish I'd made more videos, because each video you make, I want you to think of it like it's a little coffee shop from a franchise perspective that you can make money from in the long run. Now, of course, Kylie Jenner is much more active on Instagram and other platforms. So how do we know what social media platforms we should use? Well, what we're going to do together is we're going to do a search on Gary Vaynerchuk. And for those of you that don't know who Gary Vee is, he's this really successful social media guy. He understands marketing brilliantly. And so he's actually the authority on how to build a social media following. So do a search for Gary Vee, and we'll go to his website. And when you're on his website, what you can do is you scroll down to the bottom, and there's a bunch of logos here. And no one's ever told me this. It's just what I look at. And my dad told me growing up, he said, Chris, don't ever take advice from somebody that's not successful. So let's take advice from Gary Vee here. But if you go to the bottom of Gary Vee's website, he's got a bunch of social media icons. And I've noticed he's changed them over the past 5 or 10 years every now and then. And so the most important platform is Instagram, according to him. Then YouTube, then Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, which I don't understand, and a Supreme Court judge actually had to explain what Snapchat is to the other 8 Supreme Court judges yesterday. It was interesting. And the last one here is a podcast. And he used to have other icons here too, like one for Method, which is a social media platform I don't use anymore because it hasn't really taken off. So look for the order here of the icons on Gary Vee's website. Okay. You can also do a search for something else that Gary Vee made called 86 Pages of Insanity. Okay. And this is a brilliant free document that tells you how to repurpose your social media content on other platforms. So let's check it out together. Let's do a search for 86 Pages of Insanity, Gary Vee. All right. Should be here somewhere. Here it is here. It's the Gary Vee content model here. Yeah. So here, it's 86 pages right here. And what you can do is go through this, and he'll talk about what's called the content pyramid. And so the content pyramid means you make one big piece of content, and then you repurpose it on different platforms. Let me explain what that means using my business model as an example. So every week, I make this weekly YouTube call, okay? And that goes up at the top here. Then what I do is from this weekly YouTube call, my staff, what we do is we make 7 vlogs for the next week, and they drop at 9 a.m. My time, San Francisco time, every day. Then we repurpose for Instagram videos and images, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. And this is a way to work smarter and not harder. And Nintendo's been doing this for decades too. You know, their older Mario game from the 8-bit and 16-bit and Mario 64. Those intellectual property pieces they created years ago, decades ago, and they repurpose it on new platforms, and the margin structure is unbelievable. So here's how he talks about redistributing all the pillar content. What you can also do to save time, another free resource for you, is Hootsuite, which is a great Canadian company, I have Canadian represent, that will let you repurpose your content at certain times. And you get 30 or so free posts per month with them. And so what you can do is you schedule your posts so that your YouTube videos get posted at a certain time. Same thing with Twitter, etc. And you can stagger them throughout the day as well. The one caveat I have here, though, is if you can, try to upload your videos natively to each platform. Don't just put a link to YouTube in LinkedIn, for example, because the algorithm in LinkedIn will punish you because YouTube is a competing platform. So what you have to do is upload the video directly to LinkedIn. Okay. All right. Let me go back over here. Fun. So when you embark upon your social media campaign, meaning the brand of you, I humbly recommend making content on YouTube or other platforms that helps people. And you got to do it from your heart. You got to be sincere about it. Because, and this has been true since the beginning of time, if you give, you'll receive. You also have to be persistent and never, ever, ever give up, even if you have hardly any viewers. And if you build it, they will come, as long as you never, ever, ever give up. And as Seth Godin once said, the marketing genius, you already have everything you need to build something far bigger than yourself. Now, to learn more about marketing your company or yourself using social media and different platforms, please check out my MBA degree program at harooneducation.com. And to give you inspiration for never, ever, ever giving up with your social media strategy, what I want you to do is I want you to search for the first few vlogs that your favorite successful vloggers have made, and you'll see that their level of vlogging sophistication in the early days is much worse than what you can create for yourself today. And don't worry if you get negative comments, as you got to tell yourself that unjustified criticism is nothing more than a disguised compliment. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you'll never have enough. And that's a famous quote from Oprah Winfrey. Oprah also said, you can have it all, you just can't have it all at once. So Oprah is incredibly successful because she has a very positive attitude and she's extraordinarily long-term focused. And so we all need to be long-term greedy as well. And I've actually never met a successful person with a negative attitude. And with Oprah, there were so many people that told her she'll never make it. And as Les Brown once said, someone else's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And we can learn a lot from Oprah, as she had so many dead-end jobs, and she just kept telling herself, do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. So if you're frustrated at work, working for a jerk, then, and I say this with love in my heart, good. Because this will motivate you to get a better job, or even better, start your own company. And I want to humbly help you start your own company or change careers to do what you were meant to do. And the average age, in the United States at least, of somebody starting a company is over 50 years old. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. And if you want to start a new career, then please take this course of mine today for free called The Complete Interview, Resume, LinkedIn, and Networking Course. And you can get this at that web address up there on the screen. It's all lowercase, haroonventures.com/complete-job, all lowercase. Now, in closing, my favorite Oprah Winfrey quote of all time is, the greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude. Elon Musk once said, when something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are not in your favor. He also said, persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you're forced to give up. And so very successful people like Elon Musk, they take risks and they never give up unless they're forced to. So you have to believe that the whole world is wrong if they doubt you, that is. And you have to think, I don't give a damn what people think about me. I don't care if they think I'm crazy for doing what I'm doing. You know, it's not their life, it's mine. And Steve Jobs once said, those that are crazy enough to think they can change the world are often the ones who do. Now, when you embark upon your journey to make your dent in the universe, at first people are going to think you're crazy. Then when you get a little bit of success, they'll think, this person is a crazy genius. And then when you make it big, all they say is genius. So when you look at this picture here, I want you to tell me or think about or enter in the comments there, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? It's not crazy. It's genius. Now, what do very successful people like Elon Musk and Albert Einstein have in common? Well, they were often criticized unfairly and picked on when they were younger, or they were diagnosed with some perceived health issue, and they wanted to prove the world wrong. And there's an awesome book I recommend reading or listening to on Audible by Malcolm Gladwell called David and Goliath. Please check it out. It's not a religious book, but on the bottom there it says underdogs, misfits, and the art of battling giants. And in that book, Malcolm Gladwell, who's from Toronto, represent, so am I. In that book, Gladwell talks about how some of the most successful people were told that they had issues or they were different. And partially because of this, what they wanted to do was prove the world wrong. You know, for example, Steven Spielberg, the former CEO of Cisco, John Chambers, and countless others were once diagnosed with dyslexia. Others include Henry Winkler, you know, the Fonz. Please tell me I'm not dating myself. Somebody get that, please. It was a great TV show, Happy Days, yeah. Others include Henry Winkler, the Fonz, Keira Knightley, Whoopi Goldberg, Daniel Radcliffe, and the list goes on and on and on. And Elon Musk was picked on a lot as a child, and he certainly proved the world wrong. And when I worked in venture capital, I was on the board and I invested in a Sequoia-backed company called Cohesity. And one day I was at Sequoia's office and I sat down with Sequoia's venture capital partner and legend, Doug Leone. Now, the top 10 venture capital firms on the planet have about 1% of their portfolio company investments in unicorns, meaning companies with a valuation above $1 billion. Sequoia has 5% of their investments in unicorn companies. So I sat down for a one-on-one meeting with Doug Leone, and I asked him, I said, Doug, how do you do it? How do you invest in all these awesome companies? He said, of course, they invest in great people first and companies second. But he also told me that many of the successful entrepreneurs that he has invested in were told something along the lines of when they were younger, you're not good enough, or they were diagnosed with a certain issue. And those entrepreneurs want to prove the world wrong. Those are the best people to invest in because they won't sell their company for 100,000 or a million or even 100 billion. They want to make their dent in the universe. So if you were unfairly criticized when you were younger like I was, then with the right attitude and persistence, you can make your dent in the universe like Elon Musk has. With the right attitude, David always beats Goliath. Screw it, let's do it. That's my favorite quote from Richard Branson, which he says with a contagious smile on his face. Now, have you ever flown on Virgin Atlantic or Virgin America and a flight attendant wasn't upbeat and happy? Never. Almost all employees in Richard Branson's companies are very positive, and this is one of the many reasons why his companies are very successful. And the corporate culture in his Virgin companies is outstanding. He hires people that are upbeat, happy, and fun-loving. Because all it takes is one person on a team with a negative attitude to destroy your company or department. And I think that one thing that we must do is hire slowly and unfortunately fire quickly. And in business, we tend to focus too much on a person's credentials and not enough on their attitude. And all it takes is one jerk to make the lives of many people in a company miserable. So I think that if we can, we must have potential employees intern or work part-time with your team for at least a few months. Because if the candidate has a negative attitude, you'll find out during that internship. And if we don't have the luxury of a prolonged internship strategy, then outsource to a consultant the job at hand. And if this consultant is awesome and has a great attitude, then offer them a job if you can. Or at least have each person you're thinking of hiring be interviewed by each person on your team 3 times. And the secret to Branson's success in so many industries over so many decades is his superb attitude and his ability to hire people with a positive attitude. And Richard Branson is so patient when interviewing, like he is for companies he's invested in. And he actually once said, business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming along. So we should always take our time in hiring people. And when I interview people, I want them to show me how passionate and positive they are to the extent that it doesn't feel like they're interviewing for a job. Now, here in Silicon Valley, there are so many passionate engineers from all over the world. And we often say here that the difference between a great engineer and an average engineer when it comes to productivity is 10 times more performance. And quite often this is due to a positive can-do attitude. In closing, Branson is famous for saying, I've always believed that the way you treat your employees is the way they will treat your customers, and that people flourish when they're praised. If this was helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Let's talk about business lessons from Beyonce and Jay-Z. First of all, when it comes to Beyonce, she's incredibly inspiring. And I think that in order to reach your full potential, you have to inspire others. And that's what a great team member or manager or cultural icon does. They inspire. And Beyonce's lyrics inspire many young women and others to spread their wings and reach their full potential. And you'll notice actually she's always happy and she's constantly smiling, and it's not an act. And I think that in order to reach your full potential, you have to stay positive. And her positivity shines through when she manages her team. And if you're around a manager or a team member that is always upbeat, then of course everybody achieves more. And the antithesis of this is if you work with someone with a negative attitude, that poisons the corporate culture. So how do you stay positive all the time? Well, you practice gratitude. And what works for me, and this is just me, is I never get out of bed in the morning without thanking God for 10 things in this order. Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, Christine, my wife, my mom, my dad, my brother Jamie, my sister Katie, Elizabeth, and you, my students. I'm grateful for you, and I pray and I thank God for that every single day. And this is just me, but I actually don't worry about career issues because God already knows what's going to happen. And within reason, we need to see career stumbles as gifts because those stumbles, those perceived stumbles, guide us in another direction in our path of our pursuit of our passion. And this is actually a great segue to talk about the career frustrations of Beyonce's husband, Jay-Z. Jay-Z had so many career stumbles, and he maintained a positive attitude to the extent that when no music company would sign him to a contract, he did something incredibly bold. He started his own record label, and he's worth way more today, of course, because of those career setbacks. And in hindsight, I'm sure he's grateful for those career setbacks. So when we have setbacks in our careers, we've got two choices. Number one, we can complain and doubt ourselves. Or number two, we think within reason, what is positive about this? Well, what's positive is I'm either going to get a better job or start my own company one day, because perception becomes reality. And like the Rodin sculpture, I think, therefore I am. Now, Beyonce's incredibly positive attitude, along with Jay-Z's relentless approach of taking risk and launching his own company, make them the quintessential power couple. Beyonce once said, "Power is not given to you, you have to take it." So take that career risk and take control of your life by maintaining a positive attitude. And please see every career failure as nothing more than a tiny hurdle to step over in order to reach your full potential. And along your journey, please keep in mind what Beyonce said, which is you must boast about your accomplishments. Otherwise, nobody will ever know, and you'll never reach your full potential. And nobody ever made CEO or vice president in a company or started a company without tastefully boasting about their accomplishments. If you have an interview, you have to tastefully boast. So how do you do it? Well, you can start with saying, "I'm humbled to say that," and then mention your accomplishments. Will people see that as arrogance? No, because you prefaced it with, "I'm humbled to say that." Or if you brag about something, you can start in an interview by saying, "I failed at X and I learned X and I'm humbled to say that." Now, there isn't a single successful person that hasn't tastefully bragged about their accomplishment. And just be honest and transparent too, as this is a very admirable trait. And Beyonce, actually, she's very honest and transparent when she connects with her fans, just like we should be when we connect with our business colleagues. So if you have any self-doubt in your life, then what I want you to do is this. I want you to get a box, and I want you to put all your self-doubt into this box, okay? It's all in your mind. It really, really is. So all of your self-doubts, you'll put away in this box. I'm not smart. I'm not confident. I'm not good enough. Put it in this box. These are your doubts, okay? Put this in this box. And then what I want you to do is I want you to close that box and move it to the left. Hopefully somebody got that reference there. And believe in yourself, and the rest is easy, as Beyonce said. She also said, you must not know about me. You must not know about me. I can have another you in a minute, so don't ever for a second get to thinking you're irreplaceable. All right. I have two special guests today, a father and a son that during COVID, confined to their house during quarantine, what they did was they created an awesome company with an awesome product that I love. And Julian and his 15-year-old son, Martin, who live in Germany, created a company called grizzyware.com. Now, before I bring them on to this interview, what I want to do is I want to put on one of their products so I can ask them questions about it. And you guys are going to love this. This is really, really cool. Hang up my jacket. I'm wearing track pants, okay? I'm wearing my Lululemon track pants and not this. Yeah. And my office, you might think it's organized. It's a disaster. Like on the ground, dude, there's like stuff everywhere. All right, so look at me buying time trying to put this on here. All right, so here's their product here, and I'll bring them on in a second. It's incredibly well made. It's called Grizzy, and Julian and Martin will tell us about the logo and their marketing strategy, etc. So let me throw this bad boy on here. All right. So let me tell you about Julian while I get dressed here. So Julian Popov graduated from my MBA program last year. And in the venture capital boot camp part of the program, he wrote a business plan for Grizzyware. So give me 1 second to put this on. Bad hair day. All right, there we go. Tell you, man, since I've gotten longer hair, it's been tougher to maintain here. Yeah. All right, so let me put this on. All right, so let's get started with our interview with Julian and Martin. So give me 1 second to set this up. All right. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey Chris. Hey Chris. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm loving this thing. This is great. It's cozy. I got one for my son Andrew. He wears it all the time as well. It's great. Very high quality. Excellent. All right, so let's kick it off with just tell us about yourselves. Just introduce both yourselves, please. Thanks.
Well, my name is Martin. I'm a 15-year-old normal boy, and I live in Germany with my dad and my mom.
Excellent.
So I'm Julian, around the same age. I'm an engineer at the automotive industry, and yeah, we are living together actually.
Awesome.
I live in his basement.
You live in his basement. Yeah, it works out well. Good. Excellent. So thank you so much for joining us. Love you guys. So let me ask you, how'd you come up with the business idea, including the logo and the brand name?
So one day, Martin came out from school, and with a piece of paper of a hoodie design with a logo and with everything on it. And I was so impressed by the design that I proposed him, let's do it real. Let's make it a real product from this. And how did he come from with the logo? I think he can explain by himself.
Well, for the whole design, I actually had it in my head for a very long time. And I don't know, it was just this one day where I thought, well, wow, I have to draw this. I have to make it an idea. Even if it doesn't become real, it just has to have on paper. So I made the zippers and the net.
This thing here, yeah.
Yeah, this thing.
What is this? What is this for? It's cool.
Oh, well, it serves no purpose, but I can tell you in a second. The inspiration for this comes from, like, I watch a lot of cartoons, and their clothes have a lot of oversized zippers, and they're just ridiculously big. And I just wanted to include something very big and useless in my hoodie, so I choose this zipper. And for purpose, like, there's no pocket, there's nothing. it just serves the purpose of annoying people when zapping it up and down.
I love it. I love it.
It's like fidget spinner. I
Oh,
mean, it's
yeah,
absolutely useless. It's
yeah.
just,
I love it, dude.
but it's from the highest quality. It's a YKK zipper, so it's absolutely perfect.
I love it, man.
For that
It
purpose.
sounds like I'm rapping.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So let me ask you now. Tell me a little bit about the logo. Like, what is this? It's a bear, but what is this here?
Yeah, this is actually a bear, and this big thing like down there, it's actually the nose. I don't know why everyone asks me this. It should be obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, it's not.
Actually, I was the prototype.
Dude, I was, man. I'm telling you, man. I've got the most aerodynamic nose ever. Try racing against me in skiing, dude. It's yeah. Very cool. I love the logo. It's great. Yeah. Thanks.
And this thing next to the nose, where it looks like I just did it wrong, it's actually on purpose. It's because a bear isn't like the skinniest animal.
Right.
So I decided to make some fat-like things
Okay.
under here.
Oh, that's fat.
But on
Okay.
both sides, it looks stupid and symmetrical, so I made it just on one side.
I love it. I love it. It's great. Okay, cool. Next question is, where did you get the product manufactured?
Well, originally we wanted to manufacture the products here in Germany, as it would be more convenient for us because we are living here. He's going here to school. I'm working from here. But we couldn't find any manufacturer that could do this with a high quality. And we were very desperate for a very long time because we couldn't find anything. And then COVID came. And with COVID, we've seen the opportunity to go back to Bulgaria and to find a manufacturer there. Because COVID made this possible. I was at home.
Right.
It's at online work. Martin was at home with online schooling. So, yeah.
Worked out great. I love it. Yeah.
I can say that we've made everything possible to scale COVID to the maximum.
I love it. I love it. It's inspirational. So, how do you make sure that you don't have like inventory issues?
Our originally idea was to produce on demand, and soon we've realized that it's not 100% possible because we are not just buying a ready hoodie and then just put a stamp on it, but we are really manufacturing it with all kind of stuff. So to make sure that we don't have inventory, we manufacture it in small series. So we have only inventory for a couple of weeks or maximum 1 month.
Right.
So we could be sure that we have no issues with that regard.
That's great. Very cool. I love it. All right. Next up, what do you think were the biggest challenges you had when you were writing the business plan?
Well, the biggest challenge was definitely the marketing part because on the world there are millions of clothing brands, and to distinguish your brand from all the others, this is actually the crux. So, by far the most difficult part was the marketing and how you will be able to market yourself and to be seen actually, because this is the real challenge when you are we are a startup and a newcomer.
So what is your marketing strategy?
Social media, of course, and not only social media, but the social media where he is on. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook as well, because our brand is especially for teenagers, and we are marketing not only the teenagers.
Dude,
but
I can
also
wear that. I can wear it though. I think it's cool.
Yeah, of course, it's a nice design, but we are marketing also the parents of the teenagers. So a broadband, but this is TikTok, Instagram. These are our main focus.
I love it. I love it. Now, how did you protect the name of the company and the brand?
We trademarked it. It's a pretty straightforward process. you apply for trademark here in the European Union as well, in the USA. So we want to make sure that our brand, our logo, and the greasy is protected, so nobody could steal this from us. It will be a shame, because I think that our logo looks very good, and
That's awesome.
it's stealable. So
No, I love it. I love it. It's cozy too. So how did you, like, I looked at your website, grizzlywear.com. It's awesome. How'd you set it up? What product did you use?
well, we are using a platform called Shopify.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a platform where you could, it's a subscription model platform that you could pay a monthly fee.
Right.
And you could make your own online shop within pretty easy, actually. Within a couple of days, you could manage this. So you don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to worry about servers. It's all on the cloud. So I think it's a pretty good platform for this.
It's awesome. And it's like $30 a month to use Shopify?
Yeah, the basic plan is $29 a month, and you could go higher, but at the beginning it's $29 a month. It's actually enough. So
okay, cool, awesome. Well, it looks dope, and it's Canadian too. Shopify represent. Okay, next up, how should we think about the competitive environment?
If you think on the clothing market, it's huge, obviously, and there is also there are many companies that are producing clothing.
Right.
But we have a very specifically niche, and this is actually for teenagers.
Right.
And we've seen that when Martin was around 12 or 13 years old, he was very bored by the specifically children clothing, but he was too small for men's clothing. So we wanted this area where we could produce clothing for teenagers, from teenager to teenagers.
I love it. I love it. And Martin, you're so inspirational, man. At such a young age to create your own company with your dad too. It's awesome. You inspire me, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Lastly, I'm actually blown away by the quality of the video during this Zoom call. A few days ago, we did a preparation for this meeting, and you had just a webcam. How'd you pull this off? Like, tell us about the equipment, what it cost, and the setup. Thanks.
Well, actually, during this COVID time, Martin has a very strict program. He was doing a lot of Udemy courses, and one of the courses was a complete YouTube course with you and Sasha.
Okay.
And one more was the complete video production course. So from these two courses, we've just learned how to where to place our lighting, where to place our camera, where to place our microphone, so everything. And actually, our setup it's pretty easy. We have a camera, we have a main light with a softbox.
Okay, softbox,
and
gotcha.
A microphone. Gotcha. And a capture card, of course.
The blue and a lot of blankets.
Yeah, and
I love it.
Of blankets.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the sound is still bad, but
no, it sounds
much worse today.
It sounds great. No, I love it, and it's so funny because when I first started teaching online in our bedroom, I set up like a tent. Right, I had a bunch of poles with blankets just to deaden the sound, and so when you go into a brand new house or an apartment, there's an echo if there's no furniture. Best thing you can do is add furniture and blankets as well. Very, very cool. Awesome.
So blankets, absolutely important, crucial part.
Right. And so you got one light, the softbox, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
we have a main light with a huge softbox.
Right.
It's
cool.
massive.
It's like what, $100 or something for the light?
It's around $100. It's
$100.
a budget model, but very, very good actually. So
that's great.
It's enough. It's good enough.
Right. Perfect. And the Blue Yeti costs what, around $100 as well? That microphone?
Yeah, it costs $100 as well. Yeah.
Okay. And the camera, you have a DSLR camera?
No DSLR. We have a mirrorless camera.
Okay, cool.
In
Smaller
this
one.
case, the Canon EOS R.
Yeah. Very cool.
So
I love it. I love it. Well, awesome. I want to thank you a lot, Julian and Martin.
well, thank you.
Thank you. And if anybody's interested in purchasing a Grizzy hoodie or a shirt or shorts or sweatpants, please visit grizzy-wear.com. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks. All right. Cool. Let me get back on track here. Yeah, so if you want to check it out, you can go to grizzywear.com. All right, it is now time for Q&A. So please type your questions, as usual, in YouTube, and I answer the questions in the order in which I receive them. Thank you. That was fun. All right. Getting my second win now, man. Feeling good. All right, let me just go over and mute YouTube here. Or pardon me, mute Zoom. Okay, great. All right, first up, I have got, give me 1 second here, go right to the top here. Persona non grata wrote, hello, Chris, hey. Among the many tips ETFs, how do I know which ones to choose? I do not have an idea which one to pick among them. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So I think the iShares tip ETF is best. So you type in ticker TIP. Okay, and it's comprised of many different U.S. government securities. I think the largest one is 8% of that portfolio. Let me go there actually with you right now quickly. All right, hold on a second. All right, so let's go up here to my browser. My favorite free finance website is finance.yahoo.com. And we'll type in ticker TIP. And for those who are not familiar with TIP, it means Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. And what happens is if you buy a TIP, okay, it's government debt, U.S. government debt. If you buy a TIP and you're given a certain interest rate on it and inflation rises 30% overnight, which wouldn't happen, and interest rates rise 30% overnight, which wouldn't happen, this will go up that much as well. Hence the name Treasury Inflation Protected Security. So let's click on it here. It's offered by iShares. Now, in terms of the management fee, I think it's 0.19%. Yeah, 0.19% every year. You'll pay that fee. And in terms of the holdings, the largest component here is, 8%. So these are all U.S. Treasury notes. Obviously, we know interest rates are very, very low right now. Okay, and I think you had a follow-up question. You wrote, once I eventually choose my preferred TIPS ETF, how do I buy it? I never bought any before. Would you please recommend a couple of online shopping websites for ETFs? Thank you once more. Yeah, absolutely. So all you do is, it's like a ticker, right? So you can buy a ticker for any stock you want to, and you should be able to buy this as well. And for those of you just getting started with investing, let me show you how to do it. Okay, so there's this company called Thinkorswim. And it's owned by TD Ameritrade, and you can have a real portfolio or a fake portfolio, pretend money. So you can get started with this. So let me log in. Okay, and it looks a little bit uppercase. Sorry, having one of those days, guys. Okay. Oh my God, I did. I'm such a fool. All right, give me 1 second, guys. You gotta be patient with this old man here. Don't sign up for my courses because I'm senile, okay? The older I get, the better I was. This is worth the wait, though. Please. Okay, good. It's loading. Okay, cool. And so you can use this TD Ameritrade product called Thinkorswim to trade real stocks or a paper portfolio. Okay, and if you can't get access to this application and download for free, because you're in certain countries that block it, if it's legal, you can get a VPN set up and access all this stuff. So you just enter the ticker in here, and it should work in your blotter. And right here, these are Apple calls and puts. I've been working very hard on a new course coming out soon, which is called the Complete Options course. So you just enter in the ticker in any blotter, yeah. And I recommend, if you haven't invested in options or stocks before, or futures or derivative products, create a paper portfolio here. It's free to use. It's a lot of fun. Don't get intimidated by all this stuff here, because I can explain what all this stuff means in much, much more detail in my upcoming complete options course. And a much more comprehensive version of that will be in class number 89 for those of you signed up for the MBA program. And students that sign up for my program get all additional content that I add for free forever. Okay. I think I'm going to keep this on, man. I like it. Kind of messed up my hair a bit, but that's okay. Making it worse. All right. Okay. I'm such an idiot. It's reverse on camera when you do that. All right, whatever. All right, next up we got Asanga, who wrote, "Hey Chris, thank you for the web call, and you delivered with perfection. Thank you, thank you. Can you make a promise to your fellow students? Sure. Can you make the Haroon Education Ventures MBA the best MBA program in the world? I'm going to do my damn best. 50 Cent, the great singer, he said, I'm going to get rich or die trying. For me, I'm going to teach or die trying. Yeah. I put my heart into it. I think you'll love it or your money back. And for those interested, go to haroonmba.com because we have a special. It's 50% off. You can get it for $500 off. You can get it for $499. That sale expires on July 4th. Yeah. And there's a 100% money back guarantee, 30-day guarantee. Yeah. So you can binge watch and get your money back. I know my marketing team hates when I say that. Sorry. Next up, I've got Demian, who's in Spain. He wrote, "Dear Chris, very good morning, likewise. I want to ask you, I'm passionate about corporate finance, specifically the valuation of companies. How can I prepare to work in the consulting industry with a consulting firm like Mckinsey?" Yeah. So what I recommend is use a lot of frameworks, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. Let me go up here and wing this. So I'm going to go here to my downloads, and I downloaded, this is part of my MBA degree program. It's an Excel spreadsheet. It's coming. Hold on one second. I'll open up Excel and I'll show you. Yeah. But I've got, in my program, I've got a gazillion templates for you to use. Arrows in your quiver, so to speak. Tools in your toolbox. One of them, here it is here. One of them is called the Haroon Education Ventures Investment Dashboard Portfolio. And this product, I've got 100 steps in it. Again, this is part of my MBA program. And so up here, what you do is you enter in, first of all, your settings for whatever company you're looking at. And then I ask you a ton of questions and I create a ton of charts for you. And I automatically create for you an executive summary, one pager. And if you hit print, you can save it as a PDF here easily. What I've also got as part of this, if you go up here to the top, are qualitative research sections, right? And so you can scroll through this here. There's no macros or code in this. And for a consulting interview, I would focus more so, Demian, right here on the qualitative stuff, okay? And there's frameworks I've created for you, like the HEV 15 of selling. There's also other frameworks in here, like the SWOT analysis, etc. You can look at barriers to entry. You can look at catalysts as well. M&A history. Here's a SWOT framework here. Okay, so you enter in all of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats here. There's also another consulting framework here from a great company called Boston Consulting Group, the BCG. So you enter all these details here, and all that stuff will feed in to a one-page write-up here. And it will also feed in to a 150-page detailed report. And what you can do, I mean, and I know you're in the MBA program, so I mention this. You can answer all the questions that I ask you here from a qualitative, quantitative, and finance perspective, and just print that report, meaning the one-pager or the 150-pager if you want, and bring that to your interview with Mckinsey. And I think that will help out a lot. Yeah. And I used to have a course actually on consulting. I pulled it from Udemy though because the ratings were awful. Yeah. All right. Let me get back to the main screen here. All right. Next up, Demian wrote, "Thank you very much and a giant hug from Barcelona. When I find another job, I'm going to buy T-shirts by Fernando Valenzuela. I love it. I love it. And Demian's last name is Valenzuela. And I always tease him that he and his wife and their child should get Fernando Valenzuela jerseys as well." All right. Asenga wrote, "It would be amazing if you could add more modules to the MBA, for example, in project management, business analysis, HR management, because every lesson you add, more valuable the MBA comes." I'll do that. I will, for sure. Let me just do a quick little screen print here. Okay, thank you. Okay, next up, question is from C, who's saying, hey, Chris, when you're pitching your company to investors, what is the best way to communicate how you measure exposure? Are there any models that make risk exposure estimates easier? Yeah, so you're probably talking about investors in a financial services firm you've created, yeah. So when it comes to exposure and portfolio management, and we cover this in a lot of detail in my MBA program, you've got to look at a couple things. Number one, you've got to look at asset class exposure. And the way I'm going to answer this is a great way for all of us to manage our personal money. So if you have $100 to invest, I want you to make sure you don't have more than, say, 10% of your money in a particular sector, like the tech sector or the retail sector, finance sector, et cetera, the banks. Okay, so that's one way to do it. You can look at sector exposure. Another way to do it is to look at asset class exposure. You know, have a nice mix of 25% stocks, 25% bonds, 25% commodities, and 25% other investments, maybe your own house, for example, or you can buy REITs, real estate investment trust, REITs. Another way to look at it is you also look at geographic exposure as well to diversify your risk. And so make sure you don't have too much exposure to one country. You want to be diversified globally. Also, make sure you don't have too much exposure to a specific currency as well. Now, in terms of portfolio management from a hedge fund perspective, if you're interested in longs and shorts, whatever you advertise to your investors, and make sure your lawyer takes care of this in the documentation, please, in the investment offer. Whatever you advertise, you have to stick to that. So if you tell your investors, I'm not going to ever have more than 10% long exposure, then what you have to do is analyze that as well, so that you have no more than $10 long the market relative to your shorts. You also want to look at beta adjusted risk. And so beta, we know, measures the volatility of a given stock. The S&P 500 beta is 1. If a stock has a beta of 2, it's twice as volatile as the S&P. So it goes up twice as much as the S&P and down a bunch more than the S&P if the market goes down. So you got to make sure you calculate not just your net exposure, but also your beta exposure. And if you want to take it to the next level, last thing I'll say about this is when I worked at a big hedge fund called Citadel, what we did was we had a lot of other variables, statistical variables, and we licensed it from a company called Barra, B-A-R-R-A. We had 86 independent variables that we would look at to manage our portfolio to make sure that we weren't too much beta long, net long, or momentum long either. Yeah. All right. Next up, hey Colin, how are you? Colin said, happy Thursday to you. Likewise, buddy. And you said, looking forward to receiving more pearls of wisdom today. And we just had them from Martin and Julian. Martin and his dad, Julian. They're great, yeah. I'm digging this, man. This is nice, yeah. All right, next up I got John. Hey, John, how are you? John works with me, actually. John's been on this webcast for ages, and I hired him actually a while back. He's a great guy. He's from Rochester. Good dude. And when you guys go, after the webcast is done, if you go to the description field and you see all the questions that are typed and you can click on them to get immediate access, it's John that does that. He's the best. So John said, hey, Chris, I haven't watched this live in a while, and I thought I'd catch a webcast live. He does a replay afterwards. Happy 4th to everybody. Stay safe. Absolutely. Happy 4th of July to all Americans. And happy Canada Day to all Canadians. Today, July 1st, is Canada Day. Yeah, Canada's always a couple days ahead of the U.S. Actually, that's not true. With Thanksgiving it is. With Thanksgiving in Canada. So in America, Thanksgiving is at the end of November. In Canada, it's about a month or so earlier because the harvest, because it's colder in Canada, is usually much, much earlier. All right, next up, I've got Mamadou, who wrote, hello, Chris. I hope you're doing great with your family. Thanks. Good morning to you as well. Thank you. And good morning, Kevin. Hope you're doing well, bud. And thanks again for that Father's Day email you sent me. Thanks. Next up, I've got Venki, who wrote, in the 300 plus hours of the MBA program, does it include all the videos created in Udemy? No, it's all brand new stuff. Yeah. Do I cover some of the content I covered in my Udemy courses? Of course. I can't teach finance without talking about an income statement, which I taught in a Udemy course. But I use it with brand new props and I teach it in a completely different way. And there's much more detail to it, more case studies and all that fun stuff. Yeah, all brand new. And we recorded it from 5 different camera angles in 4K. Now, the version that you'll find of the MBA is 1080 right now, but we future-proofed it so we can upscale later to 4K if need be. Thanks. And thanks a lot to Matt Lacus, my wonderful Chief Creative Officer, for doing a killer job. Yeah. Next, hey Pratik, how are you, man? I hope you're doing well as well. Manas, how are you? Manas is from India. He's already published 3 books and a bunch of Udemy courses at a young age. It's amazing. So Manas wrote, good morning, my dear mentor. Hope all is well. Likewise. First of all, congrats for yesterday's webcast. Thank you. And then you wrote here, I loved it. The vault was so cool. So are you. No, thank you. You make this world a better place every day. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. My students inspire me so much, and I'm grateful. Thank you. Next up, Garv wrote, hey, Chris, how are things going on your side? Things are great, thanks. Things are great. I was up late last night scripting. I'll move over here in the middle, sorry. I was up last night scripting the content for today's webcast. Very, very late night, but I feel great. I feel great, yeah. Next up, Manas wrote, yesterweek, or last week, okay. You said Coca-Cola lost $4 billion because of Ronaldo. But what I found was Coke had issued dividends that day. So the stock went down. On top of that, Coke warned of 1.5 billion when Ronaldo. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah. So what happens if and you can all just do a search if you want on my website. Let me show you actually. So if you ever want to find out my thoughts on anything, for better or for worse, you can go directly to my website here. Okay, so you go to haroonventures.com, and what I recommend you do is type here Coke. I think I did Coke like this, yeah. And the vlog should hit here. Nope, Coca-Cola. Usually takes a day or so to hit. Yeah, okay, yeah. So I mentioned it during my webcast last week, so you can fast forward directly to 4 minutes and 40 seconds to learn more about what I had to say about Coca-Cola. Thanks. All right, let me get back on track here. Yeah. But usually when a company issues a dividend, you are correct. The stock does pull back a little bit afterwards. And I remember it was the fall of 2003, and Microsoft issued a one-time massive dividend, and the stock gapped down after that. But stocks usually don't gap down that much unless it's a one-time dividend. But it does a little bit when a company goes ex-dividend. But if a company's dividend is 1.5%, that means it's actually 1.5 divided by 4, which is 0.3 something percent. Right? So if the stock pulled back 0.3% for that might explain some of the down move in the $4 billion in market cap lost. But I think it went down more so because of what Ronaldo said. Yeah. Again, watch my vlog for more details. Thanks. All right. Next up, the Hung Lee wrote, hey, Chris, you're a champion. Thank you. Quick question. Will you be creating a module on SPACs in the MBA program? Yeah, I haven't talked about it very much, and I'll tell you why. A SPAC, and I did a very detailed vlog on this recently. I think, let's see if it got uploaded here. Do a search on SPAC. Yeah. So I talked about SPACs at this point. You can go there directly to watch it. And the reason why I'm not really going to cover it in much detail is because a SPAC actually is not as good of an investment as a traditional IPO is. And the reason is that a SPAC, which means a special purpose vehicle, it's an entity that's not really regulated as much by the US government. And so what you can do is you can go public within 6 months with a SPAC if you want to. With a traditional IPO, it takes 12 to 18 months, and the investment bankers write a massive S-1 filing document, meaning an investment offering memorandum that discloses all the risks. You don't have to do the same thing from a regulatory disclosure perspective with SPACs, right? Plus, because a lot of investment banks don't do a massive roadshow with SPACs, they do with traditional IPOs, and a roadshow means you introduce the management team all over the world to the top investors. And what happens when you do a roadshow with a traditional IPO, the management team of the company going public, what they do is they select which investors should get more shares. And that's important because they want to give shares to investors that thoroughly understand the story and won't flip or sell the deal on day one. So the risk of a stock pulling back much more so is higher with a SPAC because the investment bankers haven't spent a lot of time introducing the company on a thorough roadshow. So I would say much lower risk when it comes to traditional IPOs than with SPACs. Yeah. Now, from an investment research perspective, we do cover this in the MBA program right here. We cover, and I made this massive spreadsheet here, which is available in the MBA degree program. And this basically, the crux or the idea I got for this, I got it from looking at S1 documents. So you can create your own S1, so to speak. So before investing in a SPAC or any IPO or any company you want to have as a massive percent of your portfolio, I humbly recommend using my spreadsheet here. And I've set it up so that every single tab, there's a link to tell you exactly how to use each tab. Okay, it's a video, a YouTube video, right? It took 8 million years to make this. Yeah. But I explained from scratch each part. So it's just one of the many additional resources for my MBA degree students. Yeah. And for those of you taking the MBA degree program right now, we cover that in EMS 4-2, meaning Economics, Management, and Strategy, semester 4, class number 2. Yeah. All right. Next up, Abdur wrote, "Hey Chris, after following you for a couple of months, I get to see your plans on T. Thank you. TEA, Technology, Education, and Acceptance." And that was the crux of my TEDx talk, which is on YouTube. I gave it like years ago, where I talked about my vision of the world is to create schools all over the world that have solar on the roofs and also given free internet access from satellites. So I'm working on it, and I'm excited because I'm going to Rwanda, as many of you know, very soon. And on July 15th, I'll be in Rwanda, and I'll do my weekly webcast from Rwanda live. And I'm meeting with Vital, one of the graduates of my MBA degree program, and we're building the first of many schools there. Yeah, and it's got solar on the roof and all that fun stuff. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, though, and I'll tell you what my mistakes are so you can learn from my mistakes. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote, "I'm totally moved and inspired by your vision. Thank you. God bless you. And I hope I'll be in your movement in the future. Thank you. And God bless you way, way more." My goal is, and I take a lot of the profits from, I've been blessed, and I guess I got lucky that things are working out fine, whatever. But I take a lot of the profits and I reinvest it in a lot of charities and a lot of schools that, again, we're building everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Hari said, "Wishing you a happy moment, happy morning, Chris." Thank you. You too. Next up, I've got HNM. Great to have you again, and everybody deserves a second chance. I'm with you. Yeah. So HNM, Heathens Nations Music, said, "Hi, Chris. How can one hone in or brainstorm ideas for creating content on YouTube that's a win-win for everybody?" I ask this because I have several interests like music, finance, philosophy. Yeah. But I've got trouble coming up with one thing and doing it competently. Yeah. So the market will always guide you. They always will. And so you'll find that and just experiment a lot. Please put yourself out there, take a risk, and don't care what people think yet. But you'll find that people will comment on videos they like more than others. And so for me, when I started doing teaching online, I focused mainly on finance at first, other business topics. And then the marketplace, or my students humbly said they love the personal growth stuff I teach, the motivational stuff, inspirational stuff. And my students inspire me a lot. And so the market will guide you based on that. And there's other things too, like you get immediate feedback or lack of feedback. So for example, a couple of, I'll show you here. A couple of weeks ago, what I did in preparation for and I was testing this out before I released my options course. I wore a costume, and I was talking about option. I got a smile for this will be this week's image. Okay, thumbnail. But I was talking about options, and I was using commodities, and the feedback was awful. Right, in one of my videos, I got a bunch of thumbs down and all that stuff. So that's kind of feedback for me to not dress up like an idiot cowboy, Haroon. Yeah. But you get immediate feedback from the marketplace when you do this. And I can even tell right now, when I go off track and I say something that's not value added, I get real-time feedback, immediate feedback. And what I tend to do, the bottom line is I get back on track because of that. But the bottom line is the market will guide you always. Just be you be you. That's why it's called YouTube. You do you. And eventually the market will tell you what they like best. Yeah. So experiment with finance, accounting, philosophy, finance, or which you mentioned there, music. Yeah. Next up, Manas wrote, what new social media platforms are you interested in this moment? Have you heard about Twitter Spaces? I've not, but I do use Twitter quite a bit. Yeah. So we're taking a look at TikTok now. And my son, Andrew, who we've been working together for a while, he's done some video work for me as well. He's starting to put my stuff on TikTok. I love TikTok, especially when I'm bored in the house board. But he's working on that right now. So TikTok is one, and other ones we'll look at in the future. I don't know yet. I don't know. Maybe we'll do Instagram a little bit more. So we do images there, but we'll do more videos and live videos there. And what I'll do eventually is I'm using a product called Wirecast, and Wirecast will let you stream live over YouTube. And in my program, my MBA program, I teach you how to use Wirecast. I also teach you how to use a free alternative called OBS, Open Broadcasting Software. And I teach you how to use Twitch. And I did a Twitch stream in my MBA program. But when I use these programs, especially Wirecast and OBS, I could broadcast to many platforms at once. And so right now it's YouTube. I have access to LinkedIn as well. I'll broadcast to LinkedIn and other platforms as well. And I'll make all the mistakes, and I'll teach you guys based on my mistakes. Next up, Jitender wrote, hey, Chris, how do you find a startup or business idea? I want to do something on my own or any online business. Yeah. So the first thing I'll say is that failing to plan is planning to fail. And so most people don't write a business plan, and most companies fail. And so what I recommend doing is writing a thorough business plan. Okay. And in my MBA degree program, in the third semester, we actually have something called the Venture Capital Boot Camp. All right, I'm a private, not a sergeant. But we have something called the Venture Capital Boot Camp. And that's where I help my students create their own business plan. And I have them answer a gazillion questions, right? And it's all in one of my Excel templates. So that the risk of them failing goes down materially. And the way you know that you have a good business plan and a good business model is if you finish your business plan. Because I've written a bunch and I haven't finished most of them because I realized throughout the process why the idea sucks. And I also recommend my students don't pay a penny for anything for the startup until they finish the business plan. And even then, I want them to get OPM or other people's money, high net worth people, to invest. And I teach you from a networking perspective in my MBA program also how to get these high net worth investors. Yeah. Failing to plan is plan to fail. You got to write the business plan first. Yeah. All right. My floor is a mess, guys. Okay. And make sure it's something you're passionate about. And don't just do it for the money. I know that we all need money to live. I get it. But there has to be a point in our lives when we're older, whatever, that we say enough is enough. Earmuff time. Enough is enough, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life being someone else's bitch. I want to empower my students, to work for themselves, to start their own companies, or to change careers, and do what you're happy doing. Because I really do believe that if you chase money, you lose your dreams and your money. But if you chase your dreams and you don't give a damn what anybody thinks of you, if you chase your dreams and you fail a bunch of times, which you should, fail fast, then something wonderful happens. Your dreams come true and the money follows accidentally. It always does. Nobody that's put their dent in the universe, so to speak, has done it just for the money. They've done it because they're passionate about the industry. Elon Musk is passionate about colonizing Mars. It's up, and if anybody else said that, you'd think they're crazy. But for him, he's a genius. Follow your heart, and this will work much gooder. Yeah. All right. All right. Hey, Anurag, how are you, bud? Next up, we got Manas, who wrote, I want to ask you this. If you had an option to team up, who would you team up with? Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk? Ooh, that's tough because they're both pioneers. I'd say Elon Musk. Yeah. Because Elon has started multiple companies. Bezos has started one. He's been very successful, please. Also, Amazon's a very, very tough place to work. I have a lot of friends that work there. 1.5 years of working at Amazon is like lifetime employment. Also, Elon Musk, he has this whole satellite initiative to beam internet access. And I'd love to partner with him. And I can get to him, and I will at some point. I've got one card to call on that one. I'll use that card eventually because I want to get his satellite internet access beamed to all the schools that I'm going to be creating over the next couple of years. Yeah. And then once we figure it out, our business plan with Project Magu of building these schools in a lot of countries and getting satellite access, et cetera, and self-sustaining buildings with solar. Once we figure it out, we're going to write the business model, and we're going to get Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation involved. Yeah, eventually. Yeah, and I actually met I met Bill Gates years ago. Well, the first time I met him was in 2003. I had lunch with him. I was at, this is tough to see, but when you work at a hedge fund or an investment firm, you go to these analyst events. And so I went to meet with him actually, and there's tons of other people there. And there was assigned seating during the lunch event. And there's 500 people there. And there's 50 tables and 10 people at each table. And so assigned seating beside Bill Gates on his left was the largest shareholder, Fidelity at the time. And on his right was the other larger shareholder, Capital. And I noticed a little bit of a gap in between the Fidelity PM, portfolio manager, and Bill Gates. So I was like, I'll never get an opportunity like this again. So I went and I got a chair and I put it right in the middle. And then I went like this, Garconi. But no, they set me up with a table. And he was really nice too. But I got to tell you, man, there's two sides to him. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But when he's being interviewed on television, he speaks slowly, he's very eloquent. But in person, dude, he's a million miles an hour. Like his brain is like my brain is 286. His is like nth generation Pentium, whatever. I don't know if they make Pentiums anymore, but you know what I'm talking about. But he was really nice to me. But I remember when, he was like my hero growing up. But I remember some hedge funds at that event, they asked him, questions about his business model and how they might become less dominant. And dude, I saw him change. It was unbelievable. His fork and knife turned to this. He was drinking his red wine, and the glass was touching his teeth. Like he was in your face. Yeah. And he said, God, damn. And I'm upset with myself for not correcting him and telling him that's offensive. I remember that well. No filter. All right. All right, next up, Anurag wrote, officially I've enrolled in the MBA program. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. If you don't, you get your money back. And you wrote, I'm looking forward to great learning and mentoring from you. Any advice on how one should approach the program? Yeah, so what I would say is in the orientation section, there's a wonderful document that you can use. And let me actually go and see if I can pull it up. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to pull it up on a screen up top here. There's a website I'm going to. I can't show you. Give me a second. All right. Go here. And I'll show you. And this will help you accomplish much more every single day. Okay, good. Here it is. All right. And let me share the screen. And I will go pip here. Great. So there's a document I share with you, okay, which will help you to schedule every single day, because failing to plan is planning to fail. And if you don't write down your goals the night before for the next day, you'll never accomplish enough. Because if you want to get something done, you give it to a busy person. So what you do is in the orientation and first personal growth lesson, download this spreadsheet and plan each day for the next day. It's available in PowerPoint, LibreOffice. I also made a PDF version for you as well. And what you do is you schedule when you're going to take the quizzes, what classes you're going to attend, that sort of thing. And at the end of the day, if you want, you can score yourself as well, which I talk about in the program. Yeah. And if you have additional questions, please let me know. But watch PG 1-1. That's personal growth class, semester 1, class number 1. Yeah. And thank you for the support. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy it. All right. Next up, Mohammed, and you can actually, it's over 300 hours, so you can watch less than 1 hour per day, or you can binge watch it within a couple of months, or you can take the rest of your life to take it, or next 5 years. There's no rush. Yeah. Okay. Mohammed wrote, let's say I want a refund within 30 days. How do I get that? Yeah. You email support@haroonventures.com, and I'll personally take care of it. So if anybody watching right now, if anybody has signed up in the past 30 days and you want your money back, please email support@haroonventures.com. And don't think just because I see your name, I'll be unhappy and stuff. You know, you are the customer. Yeah. All right, next up, we've got E. Pronto from Toronto. How are you? Toronto, I should say. Hi, Chris. I'm negotiating a C-level position with a startup. C-level, for those of you not familiar with it, means CEO, CFO, CMO, CTO. Okay, it's yeah. I'm concerned with long-term funding of the organization. Is it reasonable to request them to disclose financials? Any other advice? Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. So what if they've probably raised money already? So ask them if you can see the legal documents that were given to investors, because all the risks are disclosed. All the risks are disclosed. And you're in Toronto, so there's a couple of great law firms. So hopefully they're working with a brand name one like Tory or Blakes and Castle, etc. Yeah. When you're negotiating your compensation, always take more money, right? This is fake money, but always get more money and fewer shares. And the reason I say that is because if the company does well, they're going to give you more shares anyway, but you need access to this. Yeah. And I would get a lawyer to read over that document before you sign it and go to work there as well. And make sure you understand that if you're given options, you can't get diluted, right? Make sure it's preferred shares and not common. And if you have additional questions, please let me know. Yeah. And find out who the investors are and if they've had successful exits as well. Okay. Next up, Cruncher8109. I wrote The Fawns, great show on Happy Days. Thank you for getting that. I'm happy. I mentioned that earlier on when I was talking about people that were diagnosed with dyslexia that became successful, like Henry Winkler, The Fawns. Next up, I've got Marwan who wrote, hey, Chris, thank you for doing this. My pleasure. My question is, I can't invest in the S&P because it contains some businesses that I don't invest in, such as tobacco. What do you suggest? Yeah, good for you. Good for you. That's awesome. Yeah. So what I suggest is you can look at different ETFs. Okay, so you don't have to only invest in index funds that cover an entire country. You can look at specific sectors, and let me show you. So let's go here to finance.yahoo.com. You can invest in tech companies if you want. So you can invest in what traders call the Qs. Okay. And this here is an ETF for technology companies, and no tech companies sell tobacco. And Juul would never be allowed to be in this index, if and when it becomes a big company. I hope it goes to zero. So right here with the Qs, ticker QQQ, this ETF right here, you could see the breadth and depth of the holdings. It's well diversified. Apple is at 11% position. Microsoft, Amazon, etc., Google entity, that sort of thing. Yeah. So I would check this out if you want to. Or what you can do is, if you don't want to invest in the United States, you can invest globally. You can go EWZ here, type that ticker, and you can invest in Brazil. Or you can invest in my beloved Canada, EWC. Or you can invest in sectors like the OIH, which is the drillers, right? The oil drillers. And companies like Transocean and others are part of this as well. Transocean's ticker is RIG. It's very, very cool. That's a dope ticker. All right. Next up, Mamadou said, it looks nice on you, the Grizzy. Thank you. It's cool, eh? And Julian and Martin did great, man. I love you guys if you're watching still. You did a great job. Great job. Yeah. Martin's funny too. He's great. Yeah. Isn't it great? I love this thing. Yeah. It's cozy. And it's stylish too. This is the only time I'm going to be a male model. Yeah. The zipper is the best part though. And when I was talking to Martin, Julian's 14-year-old son, about this, he said that he likes to use this in class to piss off the teacher. That's Herbie Hancock doing rap. Another old reference from an old man here. All right, next up, I've got a question from, whoops, give me 1 second, yeah, sorry. Next up, JVN is saying, hey, Chris, is it a good time to invest in REIT and gold related ETFs in the current environment, moving towards higher inflation? Yeah, I know why you're saying it. Yeah, if you think that the economy is going to do poorly and inflation is going to spike, then the best flight to quality investment you can do is gold. And if you want, you can type up ticker GLD, which is an ETF for gold, so that you don't actually have to buy physical gold. Because when you buy physical gold, you don't know if it's real or not. And what some people do, and don't do this, but what some people do is they'll buy physical gold for cash. Then they'll, keep in their safety deposit box or at home. And when gold goes up a lot, they then go back to the same place, sell it to them for cash, and they don't declare any taxes. That's a felony. Don't do that. Yeah. But gold tends to go up when people are freaking out. Like one of my biggest long positions in 2008 was GLD. It was gold. Right. So if you think the economy is going to fall off a cliff and inflation is going to be a big issue, gold is probably a safer place to be. It's a flight to quality investment. In terms of REITs, it's a tougher call. And for those of you not familiar with REITs, it stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. And basically, a lot of companies that buy a lot of strip malls, office buildings, etc., the way that they finance that is they have a stock. It's kind of like a stock. It's a REIT, and you can type up the ticker to get that REIT as well. And by law, to be classified as a REIT, you have to pay out 90% of your profits as dividends. So you might want to check that out. Make sure that it's got a healthy dividend yield, though, because everything is in nosebleed territories at this point. I would think that if the economy gets worse, that office buildings and strip malls would not be great investments. So. Okay, next up, Mohammed wrote, hey, Chris, will the dollar collapse? It's amazing it's held up like it has compared to other countries, especially since, and this is fake money, in the past 18 months, the United States government has increased the supply of this stuff by 33%. That's why cash is trash. You always have to invest in different asset classes when interest rates are very, very low, right? But the United States, it is what it is. It's the engine of growth for the world right now. It's the most stable economy. 25% of revenue on this planet, or GDP, is the U.S. economy. And people don't realize this, but about 2/3 of the U.S. economy is consumer spending. That's a big deal. That's why a lot of companies and a lot of countries look at United States consumer sentiment data a lot. Yeah. But it's all relative. And right now, it's tragic what's happening with COVID, but the U.S. the Biden administration has done a good job at getting the doses out there. Yeah. And I think what probably happened behind closed doors on that Sunday at the G7 meeting in the United Kingdom, I think what probably happened behind closed doors was Joe Biden talked to the other 6 leaders of the G7 countries, and the other 6 leaders probably said to him, look, can you please keep interest rates lower in the United States? I know inflation's an issue. Can you please keep them lower for a while longer so that you can help our economies? Yeah, and so, yeah. It's all relative, though. Yeah. All right. And I think the dollar would collapse if people, lost confidence in the U.S. economy relative to others. Now, FX or foreign exchange, it's a relative game. Right? If the U.S. dollar drops a lot, it's because other countries or currencies are better asset classes. And at this point, as of this point, I think the U.S. dollar is somewhat stable. Yeah. It's crazy, though, given the amount of debt they printed. Yeah. All right. Next up, Udhaya wrote here, hey, Chris, when is your derivatives course going live on Udemy? You've mostly advised against investing in derivatives, so what motivated you to put the course together? Thanks. Yeah. So I have not advised that. I've advised against investing in shorts, and I'll explain why. So the course is going to be live sometime this year. Okay. And so basically, let me take a step back and explain the derivatives market from a high-level perspective. So there's stocks. The stock market, and I've got a prop here that I'm going to use in a second. The global market cap of the stock market, I mean, if you take the value of all stocks added up together, it's about, I think it's close to I actually can't remember the number, but I know the derivatives market is 6 times bigger. It's massive. But derivatives it's not just about options, right? What's included in derivatives, are puts and calls for option, of course, as well as futures, swaps, and so much more. And Warren Buffett calls derivatives financial weapons of mass destruction. And this is what brought us to the brink of economic extinction back in 2008, when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working. So I actually think that puts are a better investment than shorts, and I'll tell you why. So when you short a stock, what you're doing is you're betting the stock is going to go down, right? So let's say that this is fake money. You invest $100 to bet that a stock's going to go down. If the stock goes up a lot, your losses can be infinite, way, way more than $100. That's why I'm very cautious about students shorting stocks. Instead, what you can do is this. If you buy a put, you have an option to make money if the stock goes down. You make a lot of money. If the stock goes up, all you lose is this amount, fake money. Therefore, I think puts are better investments. Safer, at least, yeah. And I'll explain exactly how that works in more detail in my upcoming course. And for those of you in my MBA program, I'm going to be adding it to the end of class 89. It's going to be much more elaborate than a longer version of the options course that's going to be released on different platforms. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, I want to ask you something about cryptos. Yeah. I have that, but haven't started yet. Will I get all the information from scratch about cryptos? I know nothing about this currency system. Yeah, I'll teach you everything from scratch. So my cryptocurrency course, which is sold over 100,000 units, it's been great, humbly. What I just did was I updated it. We updated a ton of videos, links, etc. So it's much more current now. Yeah, but I teach you everything from scratch. It's 5 courses in one. I teach you how to mine cryptos. I teach you about cryptocurrency wallets, exchanges, and much, much more. And you'll learn about macroeconomics as well. You'll enjoy it. Yeah. But I do think that most cryptocurrencies are a scam. I do think that. I've always thought that. Yeah. But there's a handful I think are wonderful investments. Yeah. Next up, I've got Stevie is Magic wrote, can you tell us the process you took to transform from a programmer to finance? Yeah. They say in Silicon Valley, it's easier for an engineer to move into finance than it is for a finance person to move into engineering, right? And so I had to network a lot, right? And I had to go work on Wall Street at Goldman Sachs, whatever, in order to make that transition. I had to go to business school too. And what I didn't realize then, that I realize now, and I wish I could have told myself in hindsight, is, Chris, don't just apply to companies and think you'll get interviews. You got to network like crazy. You got to set up a gazillion informational interviews if you want to get that coveted job and change your career. And I put all that stuff right here into a free course for you. Okay, it's free for now at least. So if you go to haroonventures.com/complete-job, and this is the only course I have a lifetime money-back guarantee. It works, but I'm giving it to you for free today. So you can go to haroonventures.com/complete-job and take this course for free. I promise you, I guarantee it, and it's free, that if you follow the methodology that I talk about in that course, and if you're willing to network a lot using the skills I teach in that course, you will get that coveted job and be able to change from the programming industry to finance. Yeah. And what you might have to do, though, initially is you might have to leverage the fact that you're a programmer and work at a big bank in the tech department. And then you can network a lot and move into the finance department. Yeah. And I explain how in that program, that course. And my MBA program's it's much more detailed, obviously. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Samir wrote, hey, Chris, hey, dude. What do you really mean when you say, I'm never, ever, ever going to sell? Do you really mean that you will sell in many years? Yeah. If you're talking about my company, yeah, I'm never selling. Yeah. And I'm never taking any outside investments. I've had a lot of people approach me from Dubai all over the place. I'm never doing it. Yeah. And I'm also never going to take any endorsements, right? And so has it hurt my YouTube channel and my growth? Yes. Do I care? No. Because the second I start taking endorsements, and I get approached all the time, the second I start taking endorsements, then I'm not putting you, the customer, my student, first. I'll be biased. For example, if you're a video gamer and you go to IGN's website or any video game website, they're never critical about Microsoft games because their biggest advertiser is Microsoft. I don't want that bias. I don't want to serve two masters. I just want to have you as my primary customer. All right. Next up, Mamadou wrote, Chris, in your MBA program, do you show how to build that investment Excel spreadsheet? Yes. Yeah, I teach you Excel from scratch in it as well. The fun way. No code. You don't need code for Excel. And I never use a line of code or any macros in my Excel templates. Yeah. Harsh, how are you, Harsh? And Harsh told me months ago to watch that movie 3 Idiots, which is life-changing. Please watch everybody. Next up, I got Samir, who wrote, by the way, the complete personal finance and crypto courses were incredible. Thank you, Samir. I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun doing that. I used a lot of Excel there as well. Oh, don't sign up for my MBA program if you don't want to use Excel. That's the only thing I require. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to if you don't take the finance and accounting classes in it, but get Excel if you want to take the program. All right, next up, James said, good afternoon, Chris. I just popped in to say hello. James, I hope you're doing well. My brother's name is James. Jamie, I miss him. I love him. Okay. Next up, we got Fred. Fred, thank you for the email you sent me early this morning. I'll get back to you on that. Thank you. So Fred wrote, hey, Chris, thank you for your kindness and generosity. My pleasure. Thanks for being here. All right. Next up, we got Jordy, who wrote, maybe off topic, is gold still a good investment to protect a part of your wealth against inflation? I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. And if you're worried about the economy, and if the market's going to crash, whatnot, and GDP is going to contract again, I think gold is a great flight to quality. You know, and in 2008, actually, my hedge fund, my biggest long position was ticker GLD, gold. Yeah. Andre is next, who wrote, awesome call yesterday. Thank you. Appreciate it. I just purchased the MBA program. Thank you. Thank you. And you wrote, how can I connect with new and old students? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Well, in the first section, right, there's a 100 section. In the very first section, you'll see the very last lecture will tell you how to network. And you'll get access to a Slack channel as well to network with other people. You can also join the alumni network on LinkedIn. I think we have 200 or 300 people, alumni, that have already done it. That's what I recommend. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Next up, Samir wrote, hey, Chris, now that you mentioned oil, why invest in oil companies? Is the future is renewable energies? Yeah. I'm not a fan of oil companies. Yeah, I'm not. And there's a famous Saudi Aramco executive who once said, the Stone Age did not end because they ran out of stones. So no, I think oil is a bad long-term investment for obvious reasons. Yeah, and it's bad for the environment. Yeah. God bless Elon Musk, who turned 50, I think, on Monday. Yeah. And I turn 50 next year. Yeah. I still feel like a kid, though. All right. And my boys, they have a little brother in me as well. And Christina always jokes that she has 4 boys. Yeah. And I bought the Lego Death Star for my kids when they were younger years ago, right? And I had to justify it to my wife. I said, look, I could play 5 rounds of golf. It's the same thing. And she said, honey, you bought it for you. I was like, no, I bought it for them. And then she said, but on the box it says 14 and up. And I said, well, if you take their ages plus mine divided by 4, it's exactly 14. Yeah. And I'm actually, in the options course, what I'm doing is I'm actually going to build on it brick by brick. And I love using props. So the way I'm going to teach it is I'm going to start with a stock, and then I'm going to build on top of that an option and volatility and a lot of Greek variables as well, like theta, vega, gamma, delta, that sort of thing. So eventually you've built a Lego brick house and it all makes sense. The challenge, though, is for me to create it in such a way that it's actually fun. And when I used to work in the hedge fund industry, I remember at Citadel, they said, if you can't explain it, you don't understand it. And I'm trying to explain and understand it in a fun way, because when you value options, there's so many independent variables to look at, like volatility. And there's something called the binomial pricing methodology, and Black-Scholes as well. And I exchange emails actually with Myron Scholes, he's a professor here at Stanford, nice guy. But I'm trying to teach it in a fun way. Yeah. Take me a while. But as Salvador Dali said, if you strive for perfection, you'll never reach it. Next up, I've got Jordy, who wrote, at this moment, the fear of inflation is rising. Absolutely, yep. But the price of gold didn't go up much. Maybe I didn't watch correctly. Yeah. There's not much fear in the market right now. There's not. But the best gauge of fear and when to buy stocks at maximum fear is, I'll show you right here. You look at the VIX, which I'll talk about in my options course in much more detail. So the VIX is a ticker that represents the volatility of the S&P 500. Okay, and that's the ultra short. Sorry, hold on a second. That's the antithesis of it, the opposite. Here it is here, sorry. Yeah, the index, yeah. And so when this thing spikes big time, that's when you want to back up the truck and buy stocks. And it spiked a lot, obviously. Let me do maximum here. It spiked a lot last year, right? It spiked in 08. And in 08, it was actually a reading of close to 80, but just under 80. That's when you back up the truck, because it means there's maximum volatility and fear in the S&P 500. That's what the VIX is. And when it spikes, you're going to tell yourself, oh my God, the world is ending. It's not. Because things are never as good as they seem, and things are never as bad as they seem when it comes to the market. People get emotional. You need to back up the truck when the VIX spikes. And you can't see it here, but intraday last year in March, when Elon Musk was backing up the truck, buying a ton more Tesla shares, brilliant guy. Right here, intraday, it went to an all-time high above 80. That's when you got to buy. You got to be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Always, always, always. Kind of like Mr. Buffett, who I talked about earlier today. And you got to be unemotional. Like Elon Musk is very unemotional, right? And I've worked for a lot of billionaires, and I won't say which ones, but most of them have Asperger's syndrome, and they're very, very unemotional. They never get too happy when things go well, and they don't freak out when things don't go well. And I remember once I worked at a big hedge fund, and on the trading floor, we were there that day, and our biggest position got bought, M&A, and we were all high-five, woohoo! And the dude that owned the firm was just kind of working there and not really saying anything. And if you can keep your emotions in check in all aspects of business and investing, then you'll outperform massively, because you'll be a contrarian. All right, and give me 1 second here. Next up, Will Santos wrote, thank you for sharing that wisdom. It's like diamonds and pure gold. Thank you. I appreciate it. I've made so many mistakes in my career. I want to help. Next up, Jordy wrote, sorry you didn't answer my question. Oh, you did answer my question. All right, okay, good, thanks. And if I miss anybody's question, it's because I had a senior moment maybe, or because you entered an internet link, and YouTube blocks those for some crazy reason. So I read every comment and I answer every question in the order in which I receive them. If I missed it, please let me know. So right now I'm up to 9:37 a.m. with Patrick Wisdom, who's from Nigeria. He's in my MBA program as well. Hey, buddy. And he wrote, I'm enjoying this. Sir, am I permitted to call you my mentor? Sure, yeah. I'm here to humbly help. Yeah. This week and every week forever. Except next week, I'm actually taking it off. Badly needed vacation. Badly. And then July, so the next webcast after today, so July 8th, I'm out. And then July 15th, I'll be doing this webcast at the usual time from Rwanda, where we're building the first of many schools. I'm excited. Yeah. And Rwanda is so awesome. So Rwanda, they actually outlawed plastic bags. So you're not allowed to bring plastic bags in the country. How cool is that? Great for the environment, yeah. But apparently there's going to be, I got travel insurance just in case. The Delta variant of COVID is a big issue there now. And there's actually curfews for everybody there at 7 p.m. So I'll have to stay in my hotel after 7. Yeah. Should be fine. All right. Next up, Aman wrote, Chris, big fan of your work. Thank you. What is your thought on gene editing, such as CRISP? Yeah. I'm not an expert in that area. You know, I did a lot of investment research years ago on Genentech, ticker DNA. And also I invested in a company that had a nice exit called StemCentrics. I was at a company where we led the Series A. It was a nice premium when it got taken out. But I'm not an expert in that area at all. Yeah. But so San Francisco is the biotech capital of the U.S. here from an innovation perspective, although Jersey has Merck's headquarters. So there's a lot of interest. And I'm seeing a lot more money right now going into the biotech sector. And it's been like that for a couple of years, not just because of COVID, but it's because of life extension. People are really, really focused on the fountain of youth and extending life, right? I'm seeing a lot of that out here right now. Yeah. And I had a student years ago. I used to. I had this prop for a presentation I gave recently, but I used to teach during the evenings at Stanford, San Francisco State. I love San Francisco State much better. There's no entitlement there. I have to be careful what I say. But one of my students in my class, great guy. He was HIV positive. And I told him, and everybody in the class, you got to get up there and present about something you're passionate about. And he said, can I present about this HIV drug that I'm taking? And I said, absolutely. And so the company he presented on is Gilead, ticker GILD. And he said in his speech, it was a great speech, that people aren't as concerned as much about HIV and AIDS as they were back in the 80s. Or a decade ago or 2 decades ago. And the reason is, he said that when he found out he was HIV positive, he started taking a drug from Gilead, again, ticker GILD. And what Gilead did was, it's this miracle drug they created. And basically he told me that if you take that drug and you're HIV positive, there's no side effects at all, except you maybe might die 1 year earlier. That's what he said exactly. So there's a lot of innovation, and God bless you, Gilead. Yeah, a lot of innovation in that sector. Yeah. And I'm actually a big fan of life extension books and whatnot. I biohack a lot. Everything I do is biohacking to make sure that I can do this weekly call for 8 million more years. And people criticize me, rightly so. It was great feedback. Earlier this year, people said, Chris, you sound tired these days. And so what I did was I got rid of my chair in my office. And I don't sit down at all during the day. Okay. All right. Next up, hey, Fred, how are you? Fred Mendoza, he's in my MBA program. Hope you're doing well. He's based in Baltimore, works in the healthcare industry, and he understands stocks cold. Yeah. I hope you watched Billions in the movie Wall Street like we talked about the other day. And Jordy said, thanks. You're most welcome. Double A said, thanks, sir, for valuing students. Absolutely. Thank you. And I love that emoji you have there. Yeah, thank you. God bless you and namaste. All right. Next up, I've got Samir. And Samir wrote, in the earlier question on selling, I was talking about some stocks or cryptos that you say you'll never sell. Oh, I gotcha. Okay, I gotcha. But what you mentioned in your company was also great. Thank you. Yeah. There's 4 cryptos I bought years ago. I'm never selling them. I own a lot of it. One of them is Bitcoin, which I love because there's a dearth of supply. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoins mined ever by the year 2140. So Bitcoin. I own Litecoin, ticker LTC, which is like Bitcoin's little sister or little brother. And think of Bitcoin like your savings account. And think of Litecoin like your check-ins account, right? It's used for transactions. Yeah. I also own Ripple. I know there's been issues with the company. I still own it. The founder lives not too far away from me. And I own Ethereum, or Ether, ETH, on the Ethereum platform. Yeah. And if you're interested in learning more about NFTs and Ethereum, just go to my website, haroonventures.com. And at the top, just do a search for NFT and Ethereum. And I published a bunch of stuff recently on it. And I also updated my cryptocurrency course on Udemy 2 weeks ago. Yeah. All right. Jordy says, thank you so much. You're most welcome. Thank you. Patrick said, thank you, mentor. You're most welcome, Patrick. And I hope to meet with you, man, when I go to Nigeria with Kemi Tarde. So Kemi, you can go to her LinkedIn profile, Kemi. Last name is Tade, which is pronounced Tarde. And connect with her if you want. She's going to be heading that up with me. It'll be fun. She's awesome. All right. Ali wrote, hey, man, I hear from Zambia. Great to have you. Thank you. Thanks for the spreadsheet you gave us yesterday. You're most welcome. That was a fun call. Yeah. All right. And then next up, looks like somebody with a Japanese name. Let me just do a quick translate on this. Translate. Paste. Sorry. I like to get to know my students, though, so I'm translating again. Hold on. Translate. All right, let's try Google Translate. It's telling me it's a noun. Oh, Ian. Ian from Japan, I think. Thank you. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. Okay, so Ian, I think is saying, can 17-year-old kids join your class, sir? Because I'm very interested in stock market. Absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't matter how old or how young you are. Everyone's welcome. Absolutely. Thank you. And for my MBA program, there's also no prerequisites. You don't even have to have a high school degree. Yeah. Next up, Ali wrote, Chris, do you think a hedge fund would thrive in a developing country like Zambia? Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the local markets there. The one thing I'd be careful of is liquidity. So illiquid stocks, meaning ones that don't trade a lot, illiquid stocks own you in a down market rather than vice versa. And a lot of hedge funds went belly up in 2008 in the fall because they were owned illiquid stocks and they couldn't get out. And so I recommend that if you want to transact, and this goes for everybody, in any stock, make sure that you can get in and out within a few hours, right? And if you're a big institutional investor, it might be a day or two. Yeah. So I'm not sure about liquidity. Yeah. And also, I don't know which prime brokerage firms would serve that market. They might, from an emerging market perspective, meaning Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, UBS, etc. Right? In order to short stocks, you have to have a market maker as well. Yeah. All right. Cool. Oh my God, Bhavik, how are you? Bhavik Thakur, how are you? He graduated from my MBA program last year. Bhavik is, he lived in Mississauga, my hometown, right by Toronto. And he works in the networking sector. And he actually, great story. He went late January of 2020, before COVID was an issue everywhere in the world. He flew to India to spend time with his dad. And then what happened was COVID, which is tragic. And his company, because he is such a rock star producer, Bhavik, his company let him work and stay in India. And he's been there ever since with his dad. And his family has a nice real estate business as well. Great guy. Great. Bhavik, I miss you, man. It's good to see you. Good to see you. You wrote, how are you? Nice to see you. Likewise. I hope you're doing well. I hope your dad is well as well. And I hope you're loving life as you always do. Okay, and Samir wrote, thank you, Chris. It's amazing that you take this time. My pleasure. This is fun. I don't have a job. I have a passion. Yeah. All right. RVC, how are you? RVC is from the west coast of Canada. She's awesome, and she always asks some great questions as well. So RVC wrote here, and you were on the call for about a year and a half, and I didn't see you for a year or two until last week. So it's great to have you back again. So RVC wrote, hey, Chris, what are some risks in investing in South America? Yeah, I realize there could be opportunities, but I worry about instability, corruption, political upheaval, and economic crisis. Thanks, hugs. Thanks, hugs right back at your sister. Yeah. So I would say that it's geopolitical, a lot of it. And you have to understand how much debt countries have there. Like Argentina defaulted, the country defaulted back in the early 90s in the Latin American debt crisis. Brazil Brazil's always been my favorite market in Latin America. You know, I've invested a ton of money down there, gone to visit with companies down there, companies like Localiza, Cirela, Gafisa, etc. But what happens is you got to make sure that the political leader is stable and not too left wing, right? And there's always corruption in Brazil when it comes to politicians. Yeah, it's just like Brazilians, they're wonderful, but they never trust their politicians. And it's because there's this prince named João, hundreds of years ago, that came over from Portugal, and he kind of wanted to make Brazil the biggest colony, and apparently he was somewhat corrupt, and that transcends generations from a politics perspective down there. Yeah, but when I invested there, Lula was the political leader. Also did Mexico when Vicente Fox was a leader there, and both were pro stocks. Right now, it's a little bit tougher. And the great thing about Brazil is that it's kind of like investing in the United States in the 1960s, to the extent that there's a lot of great secular growth stories, like airline companies. Even in Chile, land airlines. Like these companies, infrastructure is growing like crazy, like America had in the 1960s. Yeah. Just make sure you're very, very well diversified. If you're not sure what to buy in Brazil, what you can do is just buy the EWZ, or EWZ, sorry, you're in Canada, my homeland. And EWZ is an ETF for Brazil. And Brazil is a very natural resources rich economy, kind of like Canada and Australia, which means when natural resources go up a lot, so do their currencies. So the biggest components in the Brazilian markets are natural, are commodity companies like Petrobras, which is petroleum Brazil. Yeah. And if you have more questions about that, let me know. Thanks. All right, next up, Truly wrote, hi, Chris. I absolutely love you. Thank you. God bless you. First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. And then you wrote, you're the best teacher I have ever known. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm from South Africa, and I just want to express how excited I am to be your future student. I'm saving to enroll. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. We got a great following in South Africa. In this year's program, I've got a great husband and wife team, Kim Cooper and Andrew Cooper. If you want, you can reach out to them as well. They're from South Africa, although they live in Canada now. So Kim Cooper and Andrew Cooper. Yeah, great guy. They're awesome. All right. Next up, Pearl. I wrote, hi, Chris. Glad to be back again. Great to see you again. Thank you. Mohammed wrote, hey, Chris. I've been taking your interview course. I have one question. How to make your resume great without any work experience. Yeah. So there's three sections in your resume. Okay. There's professional, there's education, and there's other. And if you have a lot of work experience, you lead with experience, then education, then other. But because you mentioned you don't have much work experience, you put education first. Okay. You have other at the bottom. And in the middle, I want you to put down volunteer work, if you have any. Like if you've ever had a part-time job, or if you've tutored friends of yours in school. It's funny how it works when one teaches, two learn. And I always did better in tests when my friends asked me for help, which wasn't that often. Yeah. But I would just focus on what you've done now. And maybe to fill the gap, think about what you want to do later in life. And how do you fill that gap experience-wise? And maybe you start networking using the concepts I teach in that course. So you can actually get an internship and work for free for somebody. So you can at least get started, yeah. Or maybe start your own charity on the side. Or your own company, yeah. And if you want, you could sign up. I have a course called the Complete Business Plan course, which will help you start a company, yeah. All right. All right, next up, Super Dave Guitar wrote, how do you think companies view professional associations and employees doing public speaking and research in their industry? I like to build my credibility with companies and have them embrace that. Yeah. So the best thing I could recommend, and this is what I did, was on LinkedIn. What I did was on LinkedIn, I wrote an article every week to get started back in, I think, 2013 or whatever it was. And eventually, and I didn't care what people thought, and I was relentless and all that stuff. But eventually, people started, like the media started reaching out to me and asking me questions about stuff because I wrote a lot. And then so I took all of my articles after about 2 years or so, and I just made them into a book, right, called 101 Crucial Lessons they don't teach you in business school. And that's why I made my MBA degree program as well. And if you want to write a book as well, what I recommend you do is you write one chapter each week, and it doesn't have to flow perfectly. Whatever you're passionate about, one chapter each week, and post it to LinkedIn every week. And then after 101 weeks or 50 weeks, whatever, you take all that stuff and you throw it together in a book. Costs you nothing. And the template I use for this 6-inch by 9-inch book here, you can get for free from my website. Go to haroonventures.com/writebook, WRITE book. And I have so many students that have written books. The most recent ones, I've got Phil Germany, who's my first student to write a book. This is his 4th book here. He used my template, and so did actually a Ginny from Vietnam, right? And Phil is from Cleveland, Ohio. Ginny's from Vietnam. She has published The Tao of Growing Up, and it's great. So everybody buy this book, and this one too. But again, you can use my book template to write that. Yeah. But you gotta be like Teflon too, and you just gotta think, I don't give a damn what people think. But eventually, you'll hit a nerve, or an article will be touched by God, and you'll get a lot of followers and comments, and the market will guide you in that direction. Okay. All right. Next up, oh my God, Tom, how are you, man? I miss you, brother.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Oh, Alexa wanted to talk to you for a second too. How are you? So Tom is one of my great friends. He started this amazing company called Rockstar Real Estate in Canada. If anybody has questions about real estate, talk to Tom. He's amazing. He's great. And his wife, Carol, is wonderful too. And my wife, Christine, her best friend is Carol. And that's how we got to know them. We went away to Italy with them years ago as well. Actually, the summer 2018. And Tom wrote hello from Croatia, where Tom is from. And Tom was surprised when I told him that Tony Robbins is also Croatian. He changed his name though. Great to see you. Great to see you, man. And Tom, brother, the reason I do this and the reason I do my vlogs is because of you. When we were on the Amalfi Coast in Italy, you told me you need a social media strategy. And I started a webcast in 2018 because of that trip with you. That trip changed my life. So thank you. I appreciate it. God bless you. Everybody check out Rockstar Real Estate in Canada. Nobody knows real estate better than Tom does. How are you? So Tom wrote, any thoughts on the EU carbon credits and investing in them? I don't know anything about that. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm nervous, man. You're I should be asking you questions. Tom knows more about cryptos than anybody on the planet as well. He's a great guy. I love you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Next up, I've got Mohammed, who wrote, is there a scholarship for your MBA degree program for those who can't afford a price? Yeah. So what I recommend is, so the program is on sale right now for 50% off. You can go to haroonmba.com. There's also a payment plan available. And that sale ends this Sunday, July 4th. Yeah, check it out. And you get a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. So you can sign up, take it, and get your money back if you want. Next up, we got Ali, who wrote, hi, Chris. Do I need to open an account with a US-based broker in order to trade ETFs like Vanguard? I'm in Zambia. I trade Forex with a Cyprus-based broker. Their swaps are crazy. Yeah, that's complicated stuff too, man. Yeah. So here's what I recommend to do a search for the 5 largest banks in Zambia. Call all of them and ask them which brokerage division they have or which brokerage firms do they recommend. Then call those brokerage firms and ask them if you can trade US-based stocks and ETFs. They'll most likely say yes. Yeah. All right, and Tom wrote, you're the best, Chris. Can't wait to meet up again. Dude, I missed you. I had so much fun with you guys in Vegas 2 years ago. back when I used to drink. I don't drink anymore, Tom, but I don't drink any less, okay? I'm just kidding. Oh, and Tom is the reason why I drink bulletproof coffee as well. Like, he has great advice always from a biohack perspective. And Tom, since I met with you, we were in Vegas, I think, 2015 in the summer. I started doing bulletproof in the fall of 2015. And I'm hooked. It's great. It's great. It gives you great cognitive abilities so I can speak gooder and be as smart as you one day. Yeah, thank you. Great to see you. I can't wait to see you guys as well. Happy July 1st, brother. And I went to Tom's house actually a couple times for July 1st parties over the years in Canada, and we had fireworks. It was great. It was fun, right? In that soccer field. Yeah, miss you, man. Thank you. Next up, I've got Manas, who wrote, my mentor, are you following the Euro 2021? Are you a soccer geek? I'm not, but still, I like it sometimes. I'm not. Yeah, the only thing I've ever said about soccer is a vlog I posted last week on Ronaldo when he moved those Coca-Cola bottles out of the way, which basically it caused the market cap of Coke to drop $4 billion. Yeah, and when I talked about this last week. There's 6.5 teaspoons of sugar in one of these things. And I think that one day our kids are going to say to us, I can't believe you invested in a company that makes sugar water. That's as bad as tobacco is. Or not that bad, but you know what I'm talking about. This is the new tobacco. 28% of Coke's revenue comes from this product here. 40% of the revenue comes from sugar-based products. And they've been trying desperately to diversify to get away from this thing for years. Yeah. I think it's a secular short. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you all for your time. This was a fun call. So again, there's no call next week as I'm having a badly needed vacation. But the week after that, on July the 15th, I'm going to be broadcasting live from Rwanda with Vital. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you subscribe to my my YouTube channel, I'll see you mañana and every day at 9 a.m. my time. So my vlogs drop. Otherwise, God bless you. Stay safe. Stay cool. I know the temperature is hot out there. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. And God bless you. Oh, one more thing. I always end with this video. It was a late night last night. I always end with this video that I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association from Steve Jobs. So check it out. Thanks again.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.